Our next topic is transitions. As teachers, you've probably been exposed to a variety of different types of lesson plan structures. I feel like there's something missing in those lesson plans. I definitely subscribe to the rule that you should not try to have any one activity in the classroom go for more than 20 minutes. So that means you're probably going to need to switch activities multiple times throughout a lesson, especially if you're on a long 100-minute block. I find the lesson structure presented in the book Explicit Direct Instruction to be a very efficient way to deliver instruction. It doesn't mean that you're a sage on the stage and you just lecture your students, but you are the one carefully guiding your students with different activities toward a specific learning objective. As it's written, when delivering an EDI-style lesson, you might change activities multiple times throughout the lesson. There is, in my eyes, a certain assumption in EDI that when you direct your students and transition from one activity to the next, your students will gladly follow without disruption. My personal experience in the classroom and countless observations of teachers have indicated quite the contrary. Typically, any transition from one activity to the next has to be carefully orchestrated. If not, problems start to happen. After the warm-up, failure to execute effective transitions from one activity to the next, to me, is a major culprit for teachers losing control of their classroom. And we don't emphasize it enough. I know it can be tedious already to write a lesson plan. I feel your pain. But today I'd like to contend that although it might be, hopefully, just 1 or 2 minutes of your lesson, thought must be placed into how you transition from one activity to the next. Whenever my students do not transition smoothly, or the transition is taking long, in the case of moving desks and chairs, for example, my go-to strategy to regain control of the classroom is my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown that I did at the opening of this presentation. Imagine, your class is starting to feel a little bit out of control. You're switching from group work back to individual work. First, try to direct as many students as possible individually so you can let pockets of your students know that you're holding them accountable to complete the transition. You would say like, Maria, can you have a seat, please? Caesar, can you look up here? Dennis, eyes up here real quick. Quick little redirection, and then you're ready for the countdown. You start your countdown. Your attention in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Imagine the transition as a hairpin turn in your lesson. You just completed a straightaway. Now you're taking your class in a whole new direction. So you want to take firm control and steer them into the next straightaway in your lesson. If you don't control the transition carefully, your class, just like a race car, will veer out of control. If they continue talking, do not start the next portion of your lesson. This is one of the most terrible sins of new teachers. If the transition has not been successful and you start teaching, you are conditioning your students that the sound of your voice does not imply they are to pay attention. You will be paying the price for that decision the entire school year. If the students continue talking, try to repeat the countdown, calling out specific students in between numbers. I need your attention in 5, 4, Jose, eyes up here, please. In 3, 2, Cesar, eyes up here. In 1, Maria, I need your attention. If you have achieved quiet, wait. Control the quiet for 30 seconds to a minute before continuing. I usually will say, okay, before I continue into the next part of my lesson, I'm going to wait 30 seconds so everyone understands what I expect right now. If anyone decides to talk during this time, I'll start over. Sure, it sounds a bit elementary, but sometimes you have to establish yourself. I'll let them know when 15 seconds have passed. New teachers, those 30 seconds will probably feel like an eternity to you. Control your desire to start talking. Control yourself from starting your lesson again. I can't tell you how many times I've asked a new teacher to wait 30 seconds. And on average, they'll probably wait 6 to 7 seconds before they start instruction again. You need to take the whole 30 seconds or more to reestablish your presence in the room and make sure that you are very intentional with your transitions. So if you're struggling with classroom management and your warm-ups are going pretty well, then the next logical place to think about is to consider revisiting your transitions and placing a strategy that could help you go from one activity to the next.